Right.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Brittany. How are you doing?
Hi, David. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Awesome. And thanks for coming back on to talk to us. It's been about 4 years or so. And yeah, for anybody that has been watching and listening, I'm not dead yet. I'm still here. Just been busy with other stuff. So, everybody, this is episode 59 of the Post Concussion Syndrome Awareness Podcast. We're like Lazarus. We're back from the dead. We've been resurrected, whatever you want to call it. Again today, Brittany Brin from Connecticut has come on to join us, and she's not only going to update us on how she's been doing since her accident and a traumatic brain injury in 2019 in that car crash that really threw you sideways, literally. And but she's also come back on to dig a bit deeper with me into what people call the alternative side of healing. But really, it's one that's been around for hundreds and thousands of years, probably, as opposed to the modern medical system. So it's more traditional healing. All right, so Brittany, if you want to begin by just giving the people at home a little bit of background about yourself, and just where you're at the moment, please, that'd be great.
Yeah, so it's almost 6 years now. I think yeah, beginning of June is gonna be 6 years. Um, it's always a little touching around early June. Um, but since the last podcast, I did just get my 200-hour yoga teacher training certification from the 2020 certification, I believe it was. Um, and now I got my personal training certification, and I worked with a couple clients for yoga as well as personal training. Um, and I'm also a CHEK licensed practitioner, holistic coach, which stands for Corrective Holistic Exercise Kinesiology. So it looks at the mind as and the body. So it doesn't look at the symptom, it looks at the cause. In the CHEK Institute. So that's level two. So I'm very passionate about looking at the mind, body, and soul together as one. They say like as above, so below. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
hmm So, other than that, yeah, I am pretty well healed, and I thank God and the universe every single day about that. Um, and I just wish that more people were aware of, yes, there's a physical injury. All of the traumatic brain injuries are different. But there are certain things that work and there are certain things that can help you, and give you the best chance to feel better and to heal. Um, and we can go over a couple of those things as well. But a couple people have reached out to me from the last podcast and they felt like inspired from the healing story. So that makes me really happy to hear. I forget that people don't know about like the holistic practices that can help.
Mhm.
It's really just it is holistic healing. Um,
Yeah.
but then it's answers that I find like the average doctor, at least on the Western side here, they're not quick to tell you about holistic practices that will help or holistic healing that will help. So then it leaves people like in this world where they feel really isolated and alone, and that's very understandable, um, because this is an injury that the average person can't see, their family can't see. Um, but you have to know that your injury is real. Everybody's injury is different, but give yourself the best chance to heal and to feel the best that you can. Listen to your mind, body, and soul. They say in the CHEK Institute that a concussion hitting the head is almost like a reminder from the universe. It's like, hello. This is exactly what they say. They say, hello, like, wake up. Let's get back on track, right? So
Yeah.
that's what they kind of say. So I don't know if that resonates with everybody with that situation, but that is one thing that they say.
Yeah, I think it does actually. Now you put it that way, it does resonate with me because I've thought about this before, and it's like sometimes it's like the universe giving you a whack around the head to to go. Maybe sometimes it's going. Your life just isn't right the way you kind of should be going, and you're trying to do something else. So I'll give you a little whack to put you back where you. I know that sounds a bit flippant, but in hindsight, looking back, I can say that because I, like yourself, Brittany, I've been through it all, and it's like I could see the funny, humorous side of it now. Uh, but yeah, absolutely. And it seems like you've been extremely busy since we last spoke, and all credit to you. Yeah, you just it seems to be your path in life as well, to do this. So yeah, I'm glad about that. I'm really pleased about that. Right. So yeah, so it's been 6 years now for you, and like I said, that doctor said to you you'd be 5 years before you really truly started to heal properly. And I know it's different for everybody, but in terms of how your traumatic brain injury changed you as a person and your role and your mission in life, how do you feel you're doing now, working towards your mission, like rather than before you might not have known where you were going?
That's a good question. First thing with the doctor, in 2022, the doctor told me normally people who have a concussion, it's usually about around the 5 year mark that they start to feel the symptoms come back again. Um, or like start to feel a little bit worse again. So that stuck with me and that scared me. That was 3 years after my concussion, so that kind of information is scary, and I feel like doesn't help somebody on the path because then they're envisioning this vision of like 2 years from now, I'm not gonna feel good again. So just believe in yourself, your mind, and your body. Um, This has changed my life for sure, definitely redirected my life. And I'm very grateful for it. I do believe that the CHEK licensed CHEK Institute is why I came here on this earth. And I feel like every single day, clients in personal training and yoga, they would be like, why do you do this? And then I was like, "Ah, it's a good question. It's a loaded question." Um, I do it because I I don't like it when myself or someone else does not have the answers to what's going on with them. There is something that's going on and there needs to be answers. And there's a lot of times people go to professionals, um, and they're still left with not feeling well, or they just put a band-aid over some kind of symptom. So the CHEK Institute, the CHEK license that I have in level 2, we look at the body as a whole. So we like to find the cause and treat the cause, not just the symptom, because a lot of what people are feeling in post-concussion syndrome, post-concussion syndrome, yes, is is from energy being held in from the accident. So that's still there. That needs to be released. And then it also goes down to lifestyle. But when is a doctor or something ever going to educate you about what that lifestyle is supposed to look like? When are they going to educate you about something called whiplash as well too? Because whiplash is very traumatizing and will stay in the energy and body
Hmm.
for a very long time. So that requires a specialist who heals whiplash.
Uh-huh.
Um, so there are concussion symptoms, and then there's lifestyle symptoms that will help to magnify those post-concussion syndrome symptoms.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
That's a good
yeah.
point. Yeah.
So
What?
I'm passionate about finding answers for people. And because I know what it feels like to not have those answers and to not have a direction, which results in not having a lot of hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope and faith in your own recovery is one thing that, yeah, the early days, that's probably non-existent unless, you've got, it depends on who you've got around you at the time, if they're like-minded and spiritual or from a healing background or family, partner, whoever. But yeah, that in the early days for me as well, I can relate to that. It was like almost non-existent. It's like a journey where you don't even know where you're going. You've no idea where the end destination, you don't, this end destination of like healed as best as you can from it. You don't know you're going there and you've no idea where it is or when you're going to get there. It's like you say when the doctor comes along and goes, right, 5 years, like very clinically, because they are, aren't they? They're just trained, they're just all trained in the same machine and they're just pushed out. And some of them have obviously nicer bedside manner, doctor's manner about them. But yeah, you can't really put it in a box of just like 5 years. So it sounds fascinating, what you've been getting into, and I'm impressed with that because it's a mindset that in the past I kind of struggled to put into words sometimes. So with this institute as well, have they worked closely with you on like different types of therapies or approaches, or do you get a chance to study different things with them, or how does it work?
So, the main thing is they were the ones to tell me about craniosacral therapy for healing the concussion because they were telling me about the energy that's stuck there when you have an injury or an accident. The energy will stay there, so that needs to be released. So the craniosacral therapist will energetically perform Reiki on the head, and it helps out with concussions specifically as well. They'll take the energy and they'll release that energy. So they referred me to that. And then I did find the six foundations of health to be very foundational, and I have it right here. Um, but it boils down back to getting adequate amounts of hydration every single day. Because if we're not hydrated, that can make us feel all foggy. That can make us feel, yeah, um, less energetic. That can make us feel anxious and uneasy. Definitely can give us a headache. That's like one of the main causes of a headache as well.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's also nutrition. I've been learning a lot about nutrition. I'm certified in my nutrition through ISSA, even though I don't pay much attention to that. I'm more, um, that's more, I like to practice more of like nutrition in the CHEK Academy license that I have. But I've learned a lot about that, and there's a lot that like we can be allergic to, and it's not always allergic reactions like a rash or something like that, or breathing. It can also be a headache if we're eating something that we're allergic to. So it's important to know what we are allergic to. Pay
Yeah.
attention. Our
Yeah.
bodies react really fast to that. If we're eating something that we're intolerant to, our bodies will respond. I get headache and like sinus pressure if I eat something.
Yeah.
Like very common is like a gluten allergy or dairy.
Yes. Yeah. Nodding because I've been through all this last few years. Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
So that can cause irritants. That can cause kind of like moodiness as well too. We can have moods
yeah.
if we're reacting to a food intolerance that we're allergic to. Um, but it's crazy because how do you know about this stuff? It's not a lot of education behind this stuff.
No, no, there's not. No. No, I mean, I've had that. As you may or may not know, I had 10 years on opioid painkillers with dihydrocodeine and codeine, and it damaged my kidney function. So my kidney didn't make enough diamine oxidase, which is the like substance that controls your histamine release and for your immune system. So then all of a sudden, I become like intolerant to all these different foods. I couldn't have pizza, I couldn't have bread, I couldn't have sugar, too much sugar, gluten, anything gluten. Eventually, just like destroyed me. And it was the same. Yeah, I would feel symptoms within half an hour or something, and I'd get my throat would swell up, my gut would swell up, I'd get grumpy and and it'd be like, oh, is this something to do with the food? So I have actually delved quite deep into nutrition since we last spoke for different reasons and because of gut reasons that I had. So I can relate to that. But what do you think is like one of the main driving forces? Is it because we have such terrible diets generally, or because of all the chemicals in everything and all the additives? Or, I mean, energetically as well. Yeah, you've got all the kind of 5G and Wi-Fi and everything. What do you reckon is like, well, it's probably a load of things, isn't it? But what do you reckon the answer is for protecting yourself?
Protecting yourself from experiencing more symptoms or
Or keeping yourself well. Yeah, should I
keeping
say?
yourself up.
Probably wrong term.
Okay.
What's the best thing what's the best things to avoid to keep yourself well?
As far as the nutrition goes, in the Czech License Academy, um, it is about learning about your body. There is a rotation diet, which that's a little bit more of like needing just a coach to kind of coach you on what that is and listening to your body. It's a 4-day rotation. That's what our bodies are optimized for. Um, and then eating foods that we're not allergic to. And then they call it avoiding like the four white devil foods, I think they call it.
Okay.
It's the pretty much if it's like white, um, it's very processed and
Yeah.
not natural for our bodies. That means white salt,
Well,
white flour,
salad,
white
milk, or is that not
white milk. Dairy
milk?
is another one, and then there's
Ice
another
cream. Ice cream.
one. Um, and it boils back down to like the six foundations, which is the hydration, nutrition, um, sleep, sleeping in an optimal time. Um, if we're live, I always ask people if they're experiencing like sleep disturbances. This can be correlated, like if it's at a certain time every single night, that can be correlated to a certain organ in our body, especially if there's a symptom like night sweats or arm pain or a certain ligament or feeling. This is correlated to an organ if it's at a specific time, if you keep waking up. So we're supposed to be sleeping around 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah.
regularly, but that doesn't happen a lot. So that goes back to, okay, are you sleeping next to Wi-Fi routers, like you said? Um, 5G products, like electronics, and then also what's your nightly routine technically about? 2 hours before we go to sleep. We should have like a wind down process,
Yeah,
um, where we're kind of just not around electronics and
yeah,
we're winding down because a lot of people, what we do, at least in the Western world over here, a lot of people will, watch TV, and that's like the white lights that's telling your body to stay awake. So then you're trying to go to sleep, and then it's hard to go to sleep. So not getting sleep is like the queen
yeah.
or king of healing.
Yeah, or
Um,
they're in bed texting and things for ages as well, and that's like people
yeah.
do that, don't they? Go to bed and then they're on the phone for like, and it's like, why? Switch it
Mhm.
off. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Our cortisol levels are supposed to like drop. Like they're supposed to peak and then they're supposed to drop and get us ready for bed. So a lot of times the cortisol level is something to look at, like if we're struggling to sleep or if we're like wide awake when we're supposed to go to sleep, that's a cortisol imbalance. So that's something to look at. Um, so can we correlate this to somebody who has had a traumatic brain injury and is healing with PCS? We can look at that, but we also have to look at these lifestyle habits as well too, because some of these things can magnify symptoms.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
then, and then three more. It's breathing, proper breathing. Most of the world does not breathe the right way. Um, Movement, getting at least 30 minutes of movement every day, and then thinking is going to be very important. Positive thinking to encourage the light on your path.
I like
But yeah,
that.
foundations are very important.
Oh, I like that. I mean, exercise is it's speaking for like fibromyalgia. Exercise is one of the best things you can do, but sometimes you just can't. It's just like, but like long walks, go to the gym. I can't go running or jogging anymore because my old knees won't stand it. But going back to sleep as well, just before we go any further, what I found over the last few years is I've got like because I don't take any allopathic medicines anymore. In fact, I just can't even stand to rarely ever take a paracetamol. I think what you call Tylenol if I'm in severe pain. I just can't deal with those, and I haven't been able to for years. But I have like a little toolbox for like nighttime and daytime of kind of different supplements. So for nighttime, it depends how I'm doing. In the evening, I might take a couple of capsules of like ashwagandha complex. Just if I'm feeling if I've had a bit of a rough or stressful day, I'll take those a bit before, and then I know I'm just going to chill out a bit and become a bit more docile before I go to bed. And then sometimes, if it's worse, I have like GABA tablets that have a tiny bit of melatonin in, and those just really take you to a lovely, relaxed place. Um, and it's interesting what you're saying about waking up at certain times of night. Whereas for the last couple of months, it's always between 3 and 4 for me in the morning. So I don't know what that relates to. You might be able to tell me. I don't know. So then I have to have something on one side, maybe a little bit of valerian and hops or something in a tablet, just in case I do wake up and I don't want to get my mind stimulated, so I'm awake the rest of the night. So I might take one or two of those if I do wake up 3:30, and then end up sleeping, till 6, 7, whatever the time it is. So I think that's always maybe difficult for people with PCS in the early days to have all those things to hand. Although it's different from when we started out, people are a lot more savvy. Um, so I don't know if that resonates with you, but I think for sleep, for me, it's often been at stressful times. It's always been a difficult one to deal with. Um, anyway, sorry, I'll let you carry on with what you're talking about. I'm
No,
on there. I do tend to ramble sometimes.
um, so I would correlate that back to sleep is really important. We that can throw off so much when our sleep is off. Um, So I do ask people, like clients, if they're having trouble sleeping. I will ask if they live in a different time zone than they were born in.
Uh,
Is that your case or no?
I never thought of that.
Yeah. Um, some people can adjust, but not everybody can adjust. And sometimes the solution is to go back to that time zone that they were born in.
Wow, that's my that's never ever would have thought of anything. Yeah, no, that I can see how.
Um,
Yeah, that might affect somebody if they moved continent or whatever. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
yeah. And but you asked about between like waking up between 3 to 4 a.m., 3 to 4. That would be correlated to um, the lung organ, and that is very common with most people.
Okay.
Um, if there's anything like like night sweats or anything or any okay. So
Just waking
night
up.
sweats.
Just waking up.
Okay.
And not nightmares, but just sometimes unpleasant dreams. Not particularly really bad ones, but just ones that I'd rather not have. That's it. That's the only thing. But apart from that, no.
Dreams are interesting, especially for the during the concussion.
Mhm.
The dreams were very vivid when I had my concussion, and I always knew that that was the subconscious. That's when I really, really learned
Yeah.
that it was the subconscious. And then all the dreams became kind of like boring to me, unfortunately, afterwards, because I was like, yeah, I already know.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess so. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
so for the lung, that is, I would focus on the breathing, the kind of breathing that we're doing. We should do um, something called diaphragmatic breathing, which is like belly breathing. It's about, I think,
Oh,
2/3 breath in the belly is out, and then it finishes off in chest and throat.
right. Okay. Is that because I've been doing a little bit of the Wim Hof breathing and things as well, but I'd stopped doing it a little while back. So maybe I need to start and try that again. I do get sinus issues, and the last week or two I've been gardening and cleaning outside, so I'm getting all dust and things in my sinuses. So I'm constantly bunged up as well. So now it's starting to make sense. Thank you.
Okay. So it does sound like it's interesting that you mentioned with the sinuses as well too. Um, I grew up with allergies every spring, sneezing and all of that, sinuses every single spring.
Yeah.
And then I did a fungus and parasite detox for 6 months.
Okay.
And I got that. I followed it by Doug Kaufman, phase one
I've heard of
detox. And a lot of times, most people on the earth need a fungus and parasite detox. That can correlate and give symptoms to not feeling well,
right.
anxious, depression, low energy, and a lot more. So that's also something to look into as well.
Okay. I do still do regular water fasting, which it does clear parasites. I generally go up to 7 days, sometimes 14. The longest I've done is 21 days, but that is a wonderful cleanse. That is a beautiful spiritual journey. By the time you got up to 21 days, and you realize your body's still processing stuff, and without wanting to be too crude and going through and all that, but your mind and clarity and meditation is superb. Um, as for the fungal side as well, I do, that is in the past I've done like different versions of like Candida cleanse and things like that. I think it's something that often gets overlooked. So that's interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it definitely does get overlooked, especially if you go to your everyday doctor and then they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
It's like, I don't feel good, but I'm trying everything and nothing is working. we got to look at everything because, yes, there's a physical injury. This requires attention and healing, and there are stuff going on, but it's all mind, body, spirit. So, as above, so below. Um, it's definitely something to look into.
Mm.
And then an injury here that the in the CHEK license we look at chakras. Um, so that would be the sixth chakra right here, the third eye area,
Yeah. Hmm.
which is connected to
I,
sleeping, the wake cycles, yeah.
I,
Um,
yeah.
hormonal regulation, yeah,
Yeah.
physiological.
I'm onto this. I've got when my dad passed, he left me all these tuning forks, and his chakra sets, his solfeggio sets. I've got about 20 or 30 sets, and I got into working with them before he passed. But now they're just essential in my healing practice with Reiki and Dakota Dharma and tuning forks. Yeah, whenever I put that third eye one around there, and a ding, and it just seems to clear things out. In fact, yeah, I'll do that after this. I should have done it before the podcast because I've had that much dirt and dust go up my nose because I can't wear a mask, you see, so it just ends up going up me. So yeah, I think yeah, there's points where healing can combine, but yeah, thank you for that information. That's yeah, it's interesting about sciences.
Of course, of course. Um, yeah, and then everybody who is on this path, there's a book that I was thinking about as well too for this podcast.
Okay.
Because I was kind of asking the universe and God
Yeah,
what the message needed to be today or to release the information.
gotcha.
Um, and I got an answer of the book. Oh, what is it called? Victor E. Frankl is the author. Have you heard of him?
Victor E. Frankl. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't think of any books. Let me just have a quick look while we're
I'll find it right
to.
here. Man's Search for Meaning.
I beg your pardon, sorry. The
Man's Search for Meaning.
Man's Search for Meaning. Oh, mind you, well, I've got that many books and things. I mean, and that many on my reading pile halfway to the ceiling at the moment. Right, okay, awesome. I shall have a look for that. Oh, it's German. Well, there you go.
It is an intense book. He's a doctor, psychologist, a survivor of the Holocaust. So it
Ah,
is an intense book. He writes of his story, and he writes from his perspective of being a psychology doctor, and he's studied what made the difference between the people who survived and did not. Um,
okay.
and he wrote basically, in summary, the people who continued, they had ambition they had love to push them through, even like the hardest times and everything.
Yeah.
He goes a lot more into detail with his perspective and his experience. So, um, but that goes back to there's like 10 steps to health in the CHEK coaching program.
Okay.
And number one is finding and following your love or your dream, whichever you want to call it.
Yes.
Because they say there was a really good quote by another book, and they said it was the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover book. And in the beginning, he said, when somebody gets into a taxi and then the taxi driver says, okay, where are we going? And then they say, I don't know, then you're just going to keep driving and driving and driving until the
Oh,
taxi
yeah.
driver
That's a
chooses
really
to
good point.
stop.
Yeah. 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 No, it
So,
makes
mhm.
sense. You need to know where you're
So
going. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's important to focus on. I've coached clients before. Watch what you're saying, watch what your words say as well too, because energy is we want the energy to go up, right? To go up. Words are very powerful. The thoughts are very powerful.
Yeah.
Beliefs are very powerful. So, if we want to be healed, they also say in the CHEK Academy and the CHEK coaching, the universe is a yes universe. So you can picture it kind of like a canyon, a cannon,
Yeah.
like a Grand Canyon, and whatever you say it'll say it right back to you. It'll say yes.
Yeah, it goes back to you. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Shout down the canyon. It'll come back at you. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
a really good point. Yeah. To think of it like that. I think that's important. I think I tended to do that. Yeah. I'm talking about affirmations, healing from PCS and things. I did just advise 180-degree method. So any negative thoughts that were coming through about my healing and who I was and how I'd become, how I'd got to the place where I'd, I'd just try to turn it around 180 degrees and affirm the positive backwards and keep affirming. So yeah, that's like yelling the right thing down the canyon, I suppose.
Right. So how that connects to post concussion syndrome when you're healing, instead of saying I will heal, you say I am healed. Um, you can say like I'm happy, I am whole, I am complete, I am healed. Because when you say I will heal, the universe is going to say it back to you. Okay, you will heal. And then that's always going to be in tomorrow, and it's not going to be in
Okay, yeah, got you.
today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good point. Yeah, yeah. Affirm what you are now, what you are going to be now, not tomorrow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Um, all of those things have really helped. And I find that yoga and Tai Chi helps as well too. It's not too intense, but it is movement and it ends up building your confidence and strength as well too, while you learn about what your body can do again.
Hmm. Yeah, I think yeah. So I did try Tai Chi once or twice, but it was a wrong time for me, and it was a huge class. And because I've had like PCS and aphasia, I was like somewhere near the middle of the back, and I couldn't follow what the teacher was doing. So my aphasia was like, and it was just like I couldn't even grasp the simplest thing of copying what they were doing. So it put me off. I may try again. But is it Qigong as well? The Qigong might be. I saw an acupuncturist once, and he recommended that for me. So yeah, maybe I need to try a bit harder with those types of things, just to get the time. Yeah, movement, energy. Energy follows sound and thought, but it also follows movement. Uh, so I guess.
Mhm.
So what's the next step or the next point?
Well, you just reminded me sound is really important as well in healing. I think eventually in the future, at some point, doctors will start to talk about that a little bit more with their patients.
Yeah.
Um, Sound is real, vibration is real. We're connected with the universe, so um, that definitely helps as well. Um, but anybody who's healing from a concussion, definitely get the craniosacral therapy from a professional. Find a specialist who specializes in healing whiplash because that's really important to focus on. I find that stretching some of the neck muscles here releases tension for the rest of the day as well. Um, Make sure we're not eating foods that irritate or give us a headache and make us feel worse.
Yeah.
Um, and just kind of have like a checklist of what we're doing. Pay attention to what we did the last 24 hours or even couple hours and see if, what happened recently to make us feel a little bit not as well.
Yeah.
And just keep going, keep your faith. There's a really strong book that I'm reading right now. It's a biography on Harriet Tubman. And she's just an
Okay.
incredible example about persevering and going against all odds. So even if a doctor tells you your symptoms are going to come back in 5 years, which is what someone told me, um, know that you create your reality and stay strong, have faith in yourself, have faith in the source that you have faith in, whatever you want to call it. Um, have something to look forward to, which in Viktor E. Frankl's book was love. He found that love motivated people to keep going.
Yeah.
And just pay attention to your body and know that your mind, body, and soul are one. So we can heal the physical, but if we still have stuff going on, there might be some more spiritual stuff that we need to work on, and that would be a chakra result to look into. So,
Indeed, yeah.
yeah.
Is,
Um,
as
I
we,
could talk about this for hours. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
that's fine, absolutely fine. We've got the time. Is there anything in the philosophy in the system about trauma and past trauma? Because I know we've already touched on it in many respects, but is there anything specifically about trauma, whether it's related to a head injury, a recovery, or the grief from what had happened, or previous past life traumas, where it's like from childhood or violence or anything similar? Does that come into it, or is that
They do mention that it can be correlated, spiritually. So,
okay?
really the biggest thing is, what I learned is when that's the universe, if when concussion is the way of the universe saying, focus, let's refocus it, like you were a little focus.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Out of focus.
Um, it does say here zone 6 is that can also be a manifestation of mental congestion, lack of mental clarity, and lack of creativity.
Oh,
So those are things to look into as well too. There are things like, so it's interesting that you asked about that, about the trauma, because I was diagnosed with complex PTSD, CPTSD,
okay, yeah, understand, yeah.
a year after my concussion, I believe. Um, and that helped to get a little bit more of an answer about what was going on. I can see how it correlates because it is as above, so below. Um, so I wouldn't be surprised if somebody did past life regression to heal. Um, that would help them. But
Well, I've done that.
oh, you have.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have not done that yet, but I can see the correlation. I remember thinking I was working at a 9 to 5 marketing job in a law firm at the time when I had my concussion.
Yeah,
It's not my purpose whatsoever.
no,
It's
no.
not what I like. They don't value sitting in healthy chairs that optimize your organs. They don't value eating healthy foods. They don't value life
Music, but
balance.
money,
Right, yeah.
money and power, probably, I would
So
imagine.
yeah, it definitely wasn't on track.
No,
It is interesting because I saw my aura right before the car accident and it was like a dark blue. I'm not saying that's for everybody who has a dark blue, but I do find that as kind of a little bit of a warning because when I did research, it did kind of say like it did imply getting back onto track of things.
Yeah, if it's
Um,
not auricular, yeah, it's probably not the best ones.
yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if all of that correlated with each other. Typically, if it's more of like a chronic symptom that's going on or chronic issues that are going on, that can be a little bit more on the spiritual side, they say. And if
Um,
it was a physical injury, then that's a physical injury.
well, yeah,
But
yeah, because of course throughout life as well, we look back, we do have spiritual injuries, spiritual trauma as well, don't we? Because when our belief system gets uh, either if we're young or we're forming our belief system, and somebody comes along and goes, "That's bullshit" or whatever, or tries to throw us off, whether it's in a relationship or family or for whatever reason, then that can, in my opinion, result in kind of like spiritual trauma about where we should be going. Because I know in the past that I've been put off my path by certain people when I've listened to what they were saying. They were rubbishing my spiritual journey or whatever for whatever reasons. It doesn't matter really. It's like their poison. And then I'd stopped or put something on hold because, to affect or please them. And I just realized it's so wrong to do that. That trying to please somebody else, you should just stick to it regardless. So yeah, I don't know if like CPTSD is one thing. Obviously, it is in your life. The complexity of CPTSD is something that, especially post-COVID, I think just almost about everybody has had to some degree, but obviously worse in such cases as yours or mine or others where you've had physical injuries and things that compound them as well. Um, so anyway, go on. I'll let you go on. I'll let you carry on. Rambling.
um, so yeah, to answer your question, I think it does boil down to at that point in my life, it wasn't the highest vibration that I was in because I was not focused on my why I was here. I wasn't doing something from my soul. Um, so it's important to do something from your soul as well too. Sometimes we can manifest. I do believe that I manifested the car accident, um, which is surprising to say. You wouldn't really necessarily hear people say that, but
Um,
um, I wasn't happy at home. I wasn't happy over there. I just wanted it to kind of all be done. I was just, you know what? I don't even care what happens. And then this is what
um,
happened. And then I had a chance in the hospital when I had a second of consciousness. I saw my grandma who passed away, and that was mentioned, I think, in the last podcast.
did yes, yeah.
And she was the one who was like, come on, come on, come on. And I was like, oh, okay. Like that was when I decided to continue to live. Um, and then
Yeah.
everything kind of blacked out again for a little bit. But
Yeah.
to see how it correlates, so maybe consider the kind of vibration for me. In my instance, it was, am I going to continue? Am
Yeah. Well, blimey, I was at that point as well. Not to the severity that you were, but it was a point in about 2006, 2007, where I'd already had two concussions, and I was still working then full time, and I started getting a lot of pain and inflammation. But then I'd woken up one Saturday morning or something, and like half of my body had gone numb. I ended up dragging myself to the hospital. They did a CAT scan and they sent me home with nothing. And it was like, but then, there was a point like the night after when it was like I was lying in bed and I couldn't move, and then I felt it was like figures around me around the bed, like whatever they were, beings of light or angelic, or they're just like green and red kind of astral type outlines, and then I was like, do I really have to go through this anymore? And then they just like this just give like held me down, in the bed just gently, and I ended up falling asleep and woke up. So it was a couple of days later. I woke up, and it had all gone. I could feel everything again. So I don't know, like it's saying, yeah, whether it's an ancestor that's come back in that situation, in that moment, to kind of spiritually show you that, yeah, you can go on, you should go on, you need to go on, you better go on, otherwise I'll kill you. Kind of, that'll get you. Or, but it can sometimes happen through other means. So yeah, yeah, I remember you telling me about that, and I know my dad's still around, and he does pop in sometimes. He plays havoc and mischief, and occasionally hides something or moves something around. So I think, yeah, your ancestors on the other side, they're still watching you, aren't they?
Yes, indeed.
Um, Right, where did we get to? We talked about trauma. What's the next stage then? What's the next part?
To finish off on the trauma thing, there's actually a podcast by the CHEK Institute about
Okay.
PTSD. And her and the founder of the podcast are talking about having a lot of concussions and kind of being connected to the
Uh-huh.
history of so much trauma and then being correlated to that. So
Right.
um, they did have that information on there as well.
Ah, okay. Yeah, if you like afterward, before I put this podcast out, if you send me a link to that, I'd love to put it in the notes and things, because maybe other people would like to watch it and share it as well. Yeah, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be happy to do that.
Awesome. We'll set that up. Okay, sorry. Digressing. So, it, still in terms of trauma, is there more to this that from the CHEK Institute that or is more relevant to PCS journey and recovery as well? That is just because, like you said, doctors don't tell you to look into this, do they?
Right. I do believe in the manifestation. Just in my situation, for example, with the concussion, I do believe that I manifested it. So
Yeah.
it was just be something to consider. When I did get the concussion, I just kept repeating, and I was still very in and out. I just kept repeating to friends and family. I was like, "The universe is your friend. The universe is your friend." Because the universe allowed me to continue. I feel like I
Yeah.
kind of made a deal with the universe. I would come back and I would help to heal. And so, yeah, that comes with some challenges. They
Sure.
say your purpose will have some challenges, which is normal, but um, I do connect with people. I do feel like it's another manifestation of trauma because
Right.
I did have um, emotional abuse like when I was younger um, from a family member or so. And not to get into like too much detail about that, because I don't know how happy they
Uh,
would be if I talked about it. But it's interesting because with that kind of experience, it's hard to prove. And it's so similar to PCS, traumatic brain injury, because it's so hard to prove because people cannot physically see something or touch something to know that if it's a broken bone or something, so let's just fix that. There's so much more to look into it. And then the other thing is the body is connected. So if there's one injury here, we got to look at everything else. The body is like a web, essentially. So like an injury can be right here, like a spider can land right here and it'll shake the whole web. So we got to look at that. We got to look at the whole body and make sure we're healthy overall.
yeah, because with trauma and traumatic incidents and any kind of abuse, the scars are on the inside, aren't they? It's like fibromyalgia. All the scars and things are on the inside. If it showed on the outside, people would look at it and they'd be horrified. They'd be like, "What the hell is wrong with them?" Whereas if you've got a scar on the outside, or you've got an arm missing, or a leg missing, or whatever, people are like, "Oh, that's terrible," but they don't see the scars on the inside. So it's like, well, but they do manifest through your actions, your words, your deeds, and so on, unconsciously, as we know. But yeah, scars on the inside, I think it's probably one of the biggest lessons that humanity has to learn in the 21st century, to be honest, is that most scars are on the inside, and the perpetrators are also, often invisible, or they get away with it, or they don't have, they don't. But the karma is probably pretty crappy, obviously. But yeah, I'd say yeah, probably one of the biggest lessons that we have to learn in this day and age is that yeah, just because somebody looks all right, it doesn't mean to say that they are. Don't know what you think.
No, I totally agree. Um,
Uh,
I think that's kind of a part of my purpose or why I'm here. I think
sure.
because of all the lessons and experiences I've had of these things happening that you just can't prove because you can't like touch it physically. So, all of these are real and all of these are true. And I hope it just inspires somebody to look a little bit deeper into it. Um, because the body is they say the body is the mind and the mind is the body. It's correlated. We have to pay attention to both.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, because how you perceive things with your mind, what you project from your mind can lead to positive self-care, exercise, looking after yourself, doing what you need to do. Or the opposite. You could become a slob that just doesn't care and ends up. So yeah, it's yeah, very true. I think there's a similar tenet in Zen and Shinto as well, which is, they're just yeah, together. Good stuff.
I think the last thing is there's stressors in the body, and essentially it's about training our body to come back into homeostasis.
Okay.
So we need to come back into balance. Physically
Oh yeah.
and mentally. Mhm.
Um,
Um, Trying to find the list right now of the stressors, but it goes down
what?
to um, what is it? Electromagnetic, chemical stressors.
Right. So uh, like yeah, different like what do they call them now? Is it toxins and like all different types of toxins and things that upset your system.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me with like all the cleaning and the gardening and stuff, it's the dust is just like it's totally sent me out of whack. I'll have to wash my sinuses out later on. Yeah.
Yes,
What
I
else?
might have found it. Yeah, okay, found it. Six stressors. It's physical stress. There's good and bad of all of these, but we
Okay.
need to make sure we're in homeostasis. Because just enough stress can be good, but like good stress. But once it's like an unhealthy stress or too much stress, it becomes unhealthy. So it's physical
Right.
stress,
Okay.
chemical stress, electromagnetic stress, psychic and mental stress,
Yeah. Yeah.
nutritional stress, thermal stress.
Thermal stress. Yeah, I know about that with fibromyalgia. So, if I'm correct in understanding what you're saying, is like with each one of these stressors, there's like a saturation point where, like if you get water and put warm water and put sugar in it, You can only put so, or salt in it, you can only put so much in and then it won't dissolve, it won't deal with it. You know, like saturation.
Yeah.
I think from what I remember of chemistry at school.
The
Yeah,
other thing is, I think what's really common in PCS is experiencing the relationships around us,
yeah,
um, because it's hard for them to understand what we're going through. Um, so it's important to have kind and mindful people and supportive people around you and loving people. Um,
yeah. Uh-huh.
you have kind of negative, discouraging people, that doesn't help. I
Oh, that's what I had mostly, and it didn't help at all.
think that's a big factor as well. And I've had clients who will, for example, for personal training, they'll come in for years with different personal trainers, and then they're at the same result that they started at, which
Right,
is not why you want to start personal training.
no,
Um, So you have to look into it a little bit more at that point, what's going on. And it boils down to who you surround yourself with or who you are surrounded with. Um, if you're around negative people, you're going to probably attract more of that
yeah,
negative energy inside of yourself. So
yeah,
just
more of
be
the same.
conscious of
Yeah,
what's around you as well and who's around you is really big.
yeah. If only we'd known this in the beginning when we got injured, all this stuff, it would have been so much easier.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, But yeah, those are the stressors when if any of them are out of balance in an unhealthy way, too much, then that's also something to look at because that can make us not feel good at all.
No.
And magnify symptoms in PCS as well.
Yeah, and I guess as well, looking back my own experience when I was in that place, was injured and surrounded by people that, yeah, I was working in a place where there were just, there's a snake pit and I didn't want to be there anymore. But then around me, I didn't have most of the right people. And it just, yeah, it just sent me on a spiral. But it was at that point that I started thinking, well, I might as well take all these medications the doctor's given me. And it was just an endless list of stuff. And it just led me down the wrong path, I guess. Hey ho. Older and wiser.
See that kind of scenario kind of like lights a little bit of a fire in me. Because I'm like there I don't think I've ever been to a doctor and in that situation is like I'm not getting better. I don't know what's going on or if personal trainer or something. That personal trainer, practitioner, whoever is in front of you needs to be able to look at things, look at you as like a mind, body, and soul because we have to figure out what's going on. Okay, so you're having a lot of headaches, or oh, you're not sleeping a lot, or something. It's like, here's the medication. We're treating the symptom. We're not treating the cause, and the cause could be living in a house full of toxins. Are we not getting outside. We're not breathing that fresh air. We're not leaving the windows open to let the fresh air in. That can affect us.
Household
People,
chemicals, yeah, mold, household chemicals, cleaning stuff, yeah, all of that.
yeah. Um, so it's not like I'm against a doctor. It's not in my shoes or authority to say to step above a doctor at all. I always say follow your doctor, of course, but
Yeah,
Um, if you're at a point where you're like, this is not working, I want to figure out what else I can do. These are all things you got to look at. And if you truly want healing to feel a lot better, these are all stuff to look at and just acknowledge that you're normal. Whatever you're experiencing, it's there for a reason. Just
yeah,
see it as like a messenger kind of. The school says pain teacher. So it's like, why is the pain teacher here? What is it teaching me right now?
Yeah, he's a good teacher as well. One
Yeah.
of the best. Um, yeah, so blimey, yeah, we opened a can of worms last time. It's rabbit holes, diving down rabbit holes with things. And I would think, yeah, as well, when in that relationship, like I've taught Reiki for many years, and I've like Reiki and healing students, and like you're saying about personal trainers or doctors, whoever, they're meant to help you along and help you improve. I have the philosophy that, yeah, unselfishly, I want them to be better than me. You know what I mean? At healing or whatever, or just in a different way, or when they go down their own pathway or whatever. Uh, but to diversify, not just be like a little copy of me, like you go from university or whatever, and you want everybody to be almost identical. But I want them to go into whatever field or area. And if they go one way, and I don't know a lot about that, I'll allow them to teach me, and vice versa. Um, one lady now, I taught Reiki to, and she has like 7 or 8 dogs, and she looks after dogs. She takes them in, and she trains them and everything else as well. And she asked about tuning forks, so we have a set of tuning forks and a book on tuning forks for the dogs, and she's using them now, and she's getting amazing results. We've taken in dogs that have been traumatized or abused and stuff, and using them, and she's going that way, and I'm like. Well, now you can tell me about all this kind of stuff when you've perfected what you're doing. So that's my philosophy. But yeah, if you're saying if you've got a personal trainer and you're not improving, I'd sack them. And the same thing, probably with a doctor. Yeah, they're going to know to a large extent you got to follow them, as you just said, yeah. But when it comes to spiritual or psychic or emotional healing and advice, they're not always best, are they? I don't know what you reckon.
That's stuff to look into for sure.
Yeah. Um, right, so where did we get to? Sorry, with me rambling on.
Um,
Can you remember? Because I can't.
I know. Um, the other thing is this is just an extra bonus, but any kind of like canola oils in your food or sunflower oil or those unhealthy oils.
Seed
Uh,
oil.
we
Uh,
have a lot over here in the USA.
Never touch them. No, the worst thing for your heart ever and your system. I think I use butter ghee or coconut oil, occasionally olive oil. That's about it. I would never ever use seed oil. Vegetable oils and things like that. It's basically like the manufactured paint and stuff. It's all synthetic, like margarine and that. It's like
Yeah.
it's grim.
So,
Yeah.
eliminating those out of my diet has made a profound change as well. Um, there's studies that are on children who eat or consume that and it's correlated to generations of studies where the intelligence level is getting lower
Right.
of the individuals who consume that. And consuming, so in yoga and in my school, consuming more raw foods, not there needs to be like a balance, not 100%.
No.
Um, the more alive your food is, like
Mm.
eating a salad, fresh salad,
Yeah.
um, like that just came off of a tree, that's gonna have so much life force energy to give you in your body to rejuvenate. Um, but if you cook it up and saute everything, then the life force energy significantly decreases.
Uh-huh.
Um, so those are things to look into as well too. If I know energy is really big, low energy in PCS. If we want to have a little bit more life force energy, then consuming a little bit more healthy fruits and healthy vegetables and live foods is
Yeah.
going to be more nutritional to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I bet that goes to like the cells, doesn't it? What they call the mitochondria that produces energy in your cells. I had that issue with fibromyalgia. I started taking the NMN for that, and that works really well. Occasionally a bit of methylene blue, but things that that work to promote energy production. But yeah, living foods or recent, the foods that's just dropped off the tree or just come out of the ground, um, should be awesome. But yet here in the UK, you go to the supermarket and it's vegetables and fruits, and they all come from like different South America, Africa, Australia, all these places, India, around the world, and that. And thinking, well, these have been picked like 2 or 3 weeks early, and they've not finished growing yet. They haven't got all the nutrition in them yet, and they've been like packed in plastic with like gas or whatever to preserve them while they get here, and it's like so they don't really taste of a great deal. But then when you get, like you say an apple in an orchard or a cherry orchard or somewhere, and it's just dropped off the tree and you taste that, or you've grown it in your own back garden, and then it just tastes delicious, doesn't it?
Right. It's a big difference.
Yeah. So
So,
yeah,
mhm.
nutrition, yeah, but live energetic food as well, I suppose. Yeah, that'd be something that, yeah, we kind of struggle sometimes over here unless we're out in the countryside. But that's where you need farmers markets, I guess.
Mhm.
Awesome. So what else? Is there anything else from that you'd like to conclude? Or
Um, there's probably a lot more, but I would boil it down to a little bit of everything that we talked about today. At the end of the day, I really just hope people know it's mind, body, spirit, um, and to have faith, um, and just to keep going.
absolutely, that's the key. Keep going. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I thank you for covering that so comprehensively as well. You taught me a few things today that I'm just like, yeah, some of it's like, oof, it can take me a while to process a lot of that as well. Um, Before we wrap things up as well, Brittany, would you like to let people at home know whereabouts they can find you on social media and so on for what you're doing, please?
Yeah, sure. So my Instagram is my name, Brittany Brin, and I do what do I do? Um, yoga short yoga video flows. Um, for now, I'm gonna do a little bit more of my coaching as well. Um, but I get yoga results with Brittany on YouTube. So there's that one. And it's on Facebook as well too. It's a Facebook page. If anybody likes ghost stories, myself and David did a video. You did a video on that podcast
Yeah, we did.
as well.
Oh, yeah. No, nearly forgot about that. We should do another one sometime because I've got loads of stories. I tell you. Oh, God, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that would be really good because I'm kind of looking for new stories.
Well, yeah, since last time, I think me and you spoke. We were down at the Hellfire Caves in West Wickham as well. That was a fun one. And then the following night, it's my friend who's uh, a ghost hunting company, Haunting Nights, they're called in the UK. If anybody's in the UK, look him up. Do some fantastic ghost nights and walks as well. Truly scary. But we've been down to West Wickham Caves, and then the following night we're in London for the at the Jack the Ripper Museum. So yeah, that was with the TFIL guys from America, Matt Rife and his friends, and that was a lot of fun. Down a cave at half a mile down a cave at 3 in the morning. It was bloody freezing though, I tell you that. But yeah, ghost stories. I know it's a way after Halloween yet. Oh, El Dia de los Muertos. I tend to celebrate these 2 days. Uh, Usually because it's a 2 day gig, so you get an extra day. And I know we mentioned Halloween because essentially, whether it's Halloween or El Dia de los Muertos or in Japan, they've a similar thing, and throughout the world, it's to remember the ancestors essentially, and to like we were saying before, um, and to to give thanks, but obviously that allows that portal open, doesn't it, to Sam Hain for all kinds of things, and a lot of opportunities for the horror movie industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, that one is just a small little page, ghost stories with Brittany on YouTube. Um, but other than that, and then there's a spirituality support, spirituality awakening support group on Facebook. That's the name of it. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, you are busy, I'll say that. You keep yourself busy, and that's
Yeah.
admirable. I think as well. I always have to be busy these days. So yeah, full kudos to you there. Um, okay, so I know we talked about healing last time, didn't we? We talked about yoga and Reiki and cranial sacral therapy and Reiki together. Are there any other combinations of healing that you particularly like or prefer these days? Mix and match, you know?
Just overall taking care of the entire body, making sure that all of those six foundations are taken care of. And if
Sure.
I'm not feeling my best that day, going through that checklist and just seeing, wow, I drank one bottle of water today. Um, so that's probably why I have a headache right now. These are all things to look into. Reiki made craniosacral therapy. Reiki gave made a world of a difference, and something I'm encouraging people to look into are specialists for whiplash because
Yeah.
that can leave a mark in the spiritual world until that's healed as well.
Yes. Yeah. I was fortunate never to have whiplash because all my concussions were from falls or, being hit in the head by something or whatever. Never experienced whiplash, luckily. Thank God. Um, so yeah, I've not, but yeah, it sounds like it must introduce a whole new level of distress to the body and the mind as well. Awesome. Right. Yeah, and it sounds like the Czech Institute and the system that they have already, they've devised as well, it sounds like a really useful one to me. I will look into that more. I'm still trying to devise my own system, but at the moment it hasn't got a name at the moment, but it is like recovery using diet, nutrition, intermittent fasting or fasting on occasion. There'd be Reiki in there, exercise and meditation as well. So I've got about 5 points at the moment. I'm one or two behind you. So it's the case of finding a way to make things understandable and palatable to people. But yeah, um, I'm working on that still. Right. Well, thank you so much for coming back and getting me back in the saddle to do this as well. And you're always welcome back in future. Always, always welcome back. And I'm sure a few other people are going to come back. I'll make more effort now. I've got more time. Um, are there any final words you want to impart before we say goodbye to everybody, Brittany?
Um, hmm. I was just thinking, breathing. Breathing is such a key essential thing. Most of us are not breathing right. There's a diaphragmatic breathing, is very healing. We want to exhale all of the toxins out. Um,
Mhm.
Keeping faith is very powerful. And just remember the checklist. How's your hydration, nutrition, sleep, breathing, movement, and thinking? And find a professional in craniosacral therapy that you trust. It's profound, and you're you're okay. You're gonna be okay. Make sure you're kind to yourself and make sure people around you are kind. That's gonna be very important.
Fantastic. Love it. Love it. Thank you for your work. I'm sure that I resonate with an awful lot of people. And I checked the figures the other day because I had to and looked at how many people have watched the podcast in the last what, 3.5 years since I'd just not had a chance to do anything with it. And some of the figures is like through the roof. So people have been looking it up and finding it, and not only your episode, other episodes, and the audio podcasts as well. I was a bit gobsmacked, to be fair. So it must still be reaching people. So I think, yeah, it's probably my time to do a bit more for that. So thank you for helping me on my mission today. And just to say to everybody at home, watching this, listening to this, whichever you are, you can find us on Facebook. The group is Post Concussion Syndrome Awareness Worldwide. Um, the podcasts tend to be out on Spotify. I will put some on YouTube. I did have them all on BitChute, but then BitChute got banned in the UK, and I didn't even realise I was that busy. So BitChute's banned over here. I don't know if the episodes are still out elsewhere. It's just a bit confusing. Something to do with the UK government being a bunch of blind fascists. Well, I don't know. Well, they are really. It's ridiculous what's going on in this country now with censorship. We've got like grammars and stuff being put in prison for putting tweets about things and being called far-right extremists when they're just expressing natural like concerns about what's going on. So, anyways, I won't go any more into that. Um, but definitely Apple iTunes, Audible, Google Podcasts, all your usual suspects will be on there. And then the video podcasts I will put up on Spotify and YouTube. And I will put the YouTube channel, I'll put as many of the video cast episodes from the past, I'll repost them because a lot of them were just posted as audio podcasts. And I didn't have the time and resources to do it all because it takes hours and hours and hours and hours, and it's mind-numbingly boring. But I shall try and do the same with Spotify as well. So hopefully we're going to be seeing a lot more of you and be hearing, seeing a lot more of me as well, unfortunately. And we look forward to bringing you episode 60 very soon. So from both Connecticut and Brittany and here in Shipley in England, we'd like to wish you a good night and take care. Cheerio.
Thank you.
Cheerio. Bye bye.